Permit me to start by stating that the Independence for St. Martin Foundation was established in 1994, the year of the first constitutional referendum on the matter. However, the clamor for independence had started long before. You will recall that at the beginning of 1988, the late Dr. Claude Watty, the island's undisputed leader at the time, had made his famous call on Oral Gibbs Live for St. Martin to become independent. This set off a chain reaction that resulted in the Dutch government preparing a sort of white paper on how St. Martin could become independent in a responsible manner. Of course, before Dr. Claude Watty, Kousselek Sr. and Félix Choisy, among other prominent St. Martiners, had unequivocally stood up for independence. They have all served as inspiration for the independence of St. Martin Foundation to be established with the objective of campaigning for Option D, or independence, in the 1994 referendum and the subsequent referendum in 2000. We were the only organized group that campaigned for independence in said referendum, and we have been championing independence for St. Martin as a non-governmental organization since, despite the reluctance and even resistance of the political establishment to embrace independence. From 4% of the votes which independence obtained in the 1994 referendum, that figure jumped to more than 14% in the 2000 referendum, and to over 30% in a survey done in 2003, the last time statistical data was available. In both referenda, St. Martin had the highest number of votes for independence, higher than all the other territories in the now defunct Netherlands Antilles combined. This situation has obviously been adjusted since October 10, 2010, because in Curaçao there are now political parties that have independence as part of their platform, while in St. Martin no political party has independence as part of its manifesto. Why then do we want St. Martin to be reinstated on the United Nations decolonization list? The United Nations has declared 2011 to 2020 the third international decade for the eradication of colonialism, setting 2020 as the target date for all colonies to achieve sovereignty. Throughout the first two UN decades, Caribbean states have played a leading role, especially in the UN Special Committee on Decolonization, which held several seminars in the region. The work of the Special Committee on Decolonization is fundamental to the development of international actions aimed at advancing the self-determination process in the remaining dependent territories, the majority of which are small island territories in the Caribbean and Pacific regions. Regrettably, the Netherlands Antilles and Aruba and the integrated departments of Martinique, Guadeloupe, and French Guiana were not within the political scope of the United Nations decolonization efforts due to the fact that the Kingdom of the Netherlands and the Republic of France had unilaterally removed them from the list of non-self-governing territories. St. Martin is, of course, an integral part of the Caribbean. When compared to our close neighbor, the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, for example, we see that St. Kitts Nevis, which became independent over 30 years ago, is not much bigger and not without economic challenges. Yet, since its independence, St. Kitts Nevis has become a major competitor for us in tourism and other areas, and plays a respected role in regional affairs and developments. We consider it the manifest destiny of St. Martin to play an active role in the Caribbean region. Therefore, both the government and people of St. Martin must have the freedom to join organizations like the OECS, not just as observers or associate members, but as full members, in order for us to be able to participate meaningfully in the affairs of the region. No matter how we look at it, the role of the Caribbean region is clearly critical in promoting the self-determination process that would lead to the decolonization of the remaining small island territories. Consequently, Caribbean states have been urged to place the issue of contemporary self-determination on the permanent CARICOM agenda, as any further delay in the decolonization process of the remaining dependent territories would affect the regional integration movement. Within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, members of Parliament and of the government of St. Martin have for decades experienced how unfair and unequal the playing field is within the kingdom. On paper, we are purported to be equal partners, but in reality, we all know who wields real power. The power is not in Great Bay. It is in The Hague. The fact is, no matter what euphemisms we use or how we spin the tale, St. Martin is and remains a colony of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Therefore, it is imperative that the world recognizes, as we do in the Independence for St. Martin Foundation, that we are indeed a colony. And consequently, the only task of any of us in this colonial setting is called to perform is to seek political independence for St. Martin.
Life is a journey full of connections. You're in safe hands even when life starts too soon. You don't have to miss a single beat. When a bad hair day makes you sad, just sharing can bring you joy and more to come. They take the plunge, turn fear into faith, while you capture those beautiful moments. In the game of life, it's family that counts. They'll be there even when you lose. We all have our moments of reflection and hope. And when you feel you're losing everything in life, we're there because there's more to come. When life starts too soon, you don't have to miss a single beat. We're here to connect you and share life. Telcel, when you want.
Need a loan that's quick and easy. Island Finance. Up to 50,000 guineas real easy. Island Finance. For education, a renovation. That's no problem. Yes, it's true. That's not all. They're quick and friendly too. Island Finance. Appliances, vacations, even fix your car. You can depend on Island Finance.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
A general shareholders meeting with TLM. Two of the agenda points, besides the regular agendas of establishing minutes, etc., and approval of minutes, is the appointment of a CEO. The position has been vacant in TLM now for quite some years. TLM has done their recruitment round. I think they have interviewed, they have had 4 or 5, I think it was 5 or 6 candidates. They had 5 candidates, I think, and they narrowed it down to 4 and then eventually 2. And 2 names have been submitted to the board, to the shareholder. And today, the shareholder will be taking a decision on that. The process that will continue thereafter is that the name will be submitted for vetting by at the VDSM, and at the same time by the Corporate Governance Council before the appointment takes effect. The other issue that they want to talk about, they will be making a presentation on partnering for TLM. This is an issue that has been ongoing for many years. We can recall the discussions about downsizing, right-sizing, and upsizing of TLM, and now they feel they are at a stage where they have done sufficient groundwork, and they want to make a presentation to the shareholder for a decision by the shareholder. There will be no decision by the shareholder today in terms of, yes, go left, go right, or stay center, or choose this one or choose that one. The new shareholder, if you want to put it that way, the Council of Ministers, would first need to be brought up to speed about the developments that have taken place. And it's not only that, it's a process that has started several years ago. And the question would be, is this the direction the shareholder would still want to go into, yes or no? There are different opinions floating around about where that can or should go or not. So this agenda point would be mostly informative on the part of the Council of Ministers in terms of getting a presentation and bringing them up to speed.
Oh my, what an inventory list, and so unnecessary. But wait, your home contents are all insured by Be Sure. That means that you determine the amount you want to insure. No inventory list, no hassle.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Bob, I can understand why you're parking so carefully. Of course, when you can get 80% discount on your Be Sure car insurance. But that's overdoing it, Bob.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Yeah!
Here we go. This is freedom, this is life. Happiness is all I'm seeking. Carpe diem, I'm seizing every day, not just the weekend. Here's to all the good times that have come to last. Here's to living in the now.
When you can afford what you crave, life just gets so good.
Alive and I'm feeling good, so good, so good, so good. Hey, I'm gonna live my life, feeling good, so good, real good, so
KFC, so good for everyone.
These are the doors that never close. These are the hands that make a difference. These are the walls that could tell countless stories of helping and healing, of storms weathered, of change and growth, of a place where life begins, where hearts are mended, and where hope grows stronger. For more than a quarter of a century, the physicians, medical professionals, and staff of St. Martin Medical Center have combined advanced medical technology and compassionate care to bring a world of medicine to our friends, neighbors, and visitors to the island of St. Martin we all call home. As proud as we are of what we have accomplished, we believe there is still much work to do to continue a proud tradition of providing everyone in our community with the latest technology, the best medicine, and the most exceptional care. St. Martin Medical Center, celebrating 25 years of serving, caring, healing.
as you can see, the fires have diminished, and I, as the people say, knock on wood, I think now for the past 2 weeks we didn't have any. But if one would honestly and realistically research the frequency of fires going back as far as, let's say, or as close by as 2010. If we would take the amount of fires that we have had in 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, and now 16, I can almost safely say in 2016 we may have had less fires. What you have, we have an election year, and everybody is going to jump on everything and try to get mileage out of it. Does that mean that government is doing absolutely nothing about it? Farthest from the truth. When we recently met in New York and then in West Palm Beach, when we visited, the minister and myself, accompanied by one of the advisors in one of the other ministries, Mr. Dijkhoff, we visited several plants and we looked at options and possibilities, not only for the realization of waste-to-energy plant, but as the minister had pointed out earlier, even if we sign a contract today, it would take 3 years before that waste-to-energy plant become a reality. So what we are looking at is the separation of our waste to reduce the amount of waste that need to be buried, baling it, compacting it. We have one of the former garbage contractors who has started on his own to stimulate recycling and separation of waste. And the discussion that we have had in the Council of Ministers is that we should tap into the energy that is existing out there. Challenge, if you want to call, our society. Let's all put our money where our mouth is. If we truly want to do something about it, it is something that we all have to do. It is something that we all have to contribute to. And contribute not necessarily in the sense of dollars and cents. Yes, it might cost you an extra garbage bag or not, but like a discussion I had with the Minister of Education, Sylvia Jacobs, who said, I have already started doing my little thing at home. And then she says, you know what? My regular trash can takes now more than a week to get filled. While, for instance, home by me, it's just my wife and I, but I would leave in the morning with an empty trash can, and I come back in the afternoon and the evening, or rather mostly in the night, and it is practically full. Why? Because of the many water bottles, empty bottles of water. And here in the office, we see the same thing. Every time the Council of Ministers convene, they consume together 10, 12, 15, 16 bottles of water. Where do they go? In the trash can. Where does it go? On the garbage dump. If we begin, all of us, separating what ends up there, separating it and tapping into those who have already started to recycle and export these items off the island, we will greatly reduce the amount of fill that has to go there, and we will also greatly reduce the possibility of fires. So we have had this discussion, and I've told the minister, particularly of Romi, to get on board with the energy that's out there. So turn the criticism into a benefit, because if people are talking about it, then means people are concerned about it, and then people, if you're concerned about something, you got to be willing to do something about it. So now, more than ever, I think the time is ripe. And I coincidentally last night, I was browsing at a paper and I saw a letter to the editor from Fernando Clark, in which he, in his own humorous way of putting things, said that the complaints are now more than ever. Why? Because there's a government that listens. He said the government that was there before wouldn't listen anyway, so people would not complain to them. But since he knows that this government would listen and act on the complaints of the people. That is why people are complaining now. Let's say some people are complaining more than ever. And yes, the government is looking into the fires, minimizing them, but also ensuring that the amount of waste that goes there is brought down to a minimum.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
One,
2,
3,
4. This is how common it is to develop a mental illness. 1 out of every 4.
4,
4.
4. But there is hope. Today, most mental illnesses can be managed and treated. Visit your general doctor if you feel concerned about your thoughts and behaviors or have some difficulty dealing with some of life's issues.
If you have been diagnosed and are suffering from a mental illness, keep in mind these 4 points to help you manage your mental health.
1. Get regular checkups with your general doctor.
2. Stay on your treatment plan to prevent relapses.
3. Find a strong support group in your family and friends.
And 4. Never be afraid to ask for help and look out for the warning signs of your illness.
Remember, you are not alone. We are as close as one.
2.
3.
4.
Learn about mental health illness by going to the Mental Health Foundation's website at www.mhf-sxm.com.
Dr. Johnson stated in his opening remarks is that education is key. Because I can take myself, for instance. I remember and Dr. Lloyd Richardson mentioned it earlier where he stated we need to educate the people of the myth of marijuana use. And I can use myself as an example because one of my good friends and Bushman, which I always say, you know, Mr. Joe, knows that very well because it's one thing I always go there by him and have my idle snack, you know, preparing thing. And one of my good friends told me, and that's why I say you have to educate yourself, because she told me, you know what, Mpile, can you please, I suffer from asthma. Can you please ask, since you're always by Bushman, can you please ask him if he can give you some marijuana leaves to do marijuana tea? And I look at her all stunned like, what, me? I gotta ask Bushman for marijuana leaves? But when you educate yourself and hear what it's all about for asthma, and it helps her, then I went to Bushman and I did ask her. But deep down, it's that myth of why marijuana leaves. If the police catch me, imagine that'd be front page, MP Lake caught with marijuana leaves to give a friend. But it helps her with her asthma. So we need to educate ourselves, on the use of marijuana, not to abuse it, because it's very important that, the control aspect of it. You don't want to get where it gets out, as everyone selling marijuana. That's not the whole intention. But it's very important, like I said, the educational aspect. You need to go out and continue educating the public, especially on this issue. In closing, Mr. Chairman, like I stated, we also need to let the people decide. The people need to decide exactly on this debate. As you know, I'm not an expert in this area, and I was brought up old school, where I never smoke marijuana or anything in that aspect. I always keep away from that. But the most important thing, when it comes on the medical aspect of it, it's very important that we educate ourselves, because instead of taking other medication, which is drugs, this is the best herbal medication. It don't damage you. So you really gotta have to educate yourself, especially on the use of marijuana use.